On this video, I'm going to show you exactly how do you borrow money interest free. What do I mean by that? I mean, you borrow the money, but you do not pay the interest, but you get the money and you qualify and you can do all those kind of things. You know one thing, let me tell you one secret when it comes to money. If you do not understand the game of money, you always be on a losing end. I repeat, the game of money is for the reserved smart who knows exactly how to play around with numbers. And if you be on the losing end, then I do not know. I mean, seriously, go ahead and watch this video to the end so that you understand. Probably this may be a very totally new idea to you that most of you have never thought about it. And I'm going to explain using two strategies, either using your bank or using a SACCO. Well, some of you, I know you may not understand what is given a SACCO. Is that like a society kind of organization whereby they lend people money or something? Okay, in Kenya, we have something called SACCOs. I do not know what you have in your country. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how do you go about it, all right? And by the way, thank you for clicking and thank you for always coming here to watch my videos. And if it's your first time, make sure that you hit that like button and make sure that you subscribe. And if you've been watching my videos without subscribing, come on, just hit that subscription button and also like this video. Let's get to the business. Now, here we are. See, whenever you want to take a loan, you see, a loan is basically you getting that amount of money that you do not have as of now and you need it. And again, at the end of the day, never forget this. You know, they say that, you see, a banking institution whereby they lend you money after proving that you don't really need it. See, after you prove that you have a good sort of a track record as far as your cash is concerned, then they give it back that money to you. Okay, now the point is this now. Say you have a bank here, all right? This is a bank, and here you have a SACCO. Okay, now we're going to use these two different institutions in terms of you lending or borrowing money from them and how exactly can you do so from that given bank or from that given SACCO, and it is interest free. Now, one thing that you're supposed to understand, there is always a game of numbers. That money that you give it to bank and you keep that money there, people comes and borrow that money and obviously they repay back that money with an interest. Now, the question is this: how do you, even if it's not totally free, but how do you actually minimize that interest that you pay to that bank? So the very first thing that you're supposed to understand, so do not put your money in an institution that you do not own. The very first thing that you're supposed to understand is to own the institution. The first thing is to own. You own that institution. Own the institution. Own the institution. How exactly do you own the institution? Are you like, Joseph, are you telling us to go ahead and buy those institutions? No, you own the institution. For example, that's where you keep your money, buy shares or buy stocks of that given specific bank. For example, and though your banks may never tell you this, your bank, let's call your bank XYZ. XYZ, that is the name of your bank. So the XYZ bank, this bank has variety of areas where you can be able to invest, but they'll never tell you. Number one, the same bank where you keep your money, just for idle, you do nothing with it. That bank has something called shares. Because why? The bank is a PLC, it's a public listed company, meaning it's a bank that is open to the public for people to buy shares. See, when you buy shares of a given bank, you become one of the owners of that given bank. So your bank is a PLC, meaning you can become one of the owners. So number two, the same bank, they offer something like an MMF. An MMF, it's an investment whereby you earn interest every day and they pay that interest to you every month. So that bank has this MMF, that bank has this PLC, that is has shares. Now the point is this: now you invest some of the money into that specific bank. Guess what now happens when people borrow money from this institution, when people borrow money from that given bank? So you are one of the people who will be given that amount of money. And let's say in an institution, for example, right now in Kenya, most of the banks, they have a percentage yield. There's something called percentage yield. That amount of money that actually, the rate at which that shares changes in terms of the percentage. A percentage yield in Kenya, let's say it's around 13%. Or 13%, okay? 13%, that is per year, okay? That is the percentage yield. Now, that shares that you bought in that given bank, they are gonna give you an interest of this amount of money. So in shares, we cannot tell how much you'll make because it's dependent with the performance of that given bank in terms of the profit and what have you. But guess what? Assuming they hold constant at 13%, therefore it means, say if you've invested some cash into these shares or into this bank, you have the shares, you have your money at 13%. Number two, you have put some money into this MMF. MMF, as you speak again, has the similar percentage into that investment. Guess what happens now? If you show up to this bank and you borrow some cash, let's say you show up to this bank and you borrow something like, say, 100,000, 100K. So if you borrow that amount of money, and maybe say you had another amount of money in the same bank as in terms of shares, or maybe say in terms of MMF, then what happens? So once you borrow this money, you're gonna pay the interest, and this interest that you're paying this bank, you're also the owner of that bank. Then it means you are paying them, but at the end of the day, they're still gonna share that money back to you. I repeat the point. It's for example, me and you and whoever is watching this video, we form a sort of a SACCO, and then we'll be contributing this amount of money, and then we have an agreement of anybody can borrow money from within ourselves, and that person who borrows the money, they have to repay back the money, obviously with the interest, because we are the owners of this given SACCO. So whoever pays that interest, we ought to divide that interest amongst ourselves because we are the owners. So if you have shares of that given bank and you borrow from that bank and then you pay interest to that bank, then it means you're also entitled to your own interest. You get what I'm saying? And the same bank gonna give you an interest on the money market fund. So if you were to do all the calculations, then you realize, guess what? You're doing something amazing. And again, listen what? On the SACCO side, the same case applies. You buy shares on this end, you buy shares on this given SACCO. Once you buy shares on that given SACCO, what happens is that around SACCO, right now, they give you around 15%. And again, obviously, the loans from the SACCOs are a bit cheaper compared to the ones from the bank. You buy at this particular amount of money, which is 15%. And then same SACCO. Let's say you've invested your 500,000, and I want you to show you a certain formula that you can apply. So first of all, either bank or a SACCO, you need to front guarantors. I repeat, either bank or a SACCO, you need to front guarantors to guarantee you to borrow this amount of money. Say, maybe you have 500K in your savings, and maybe say you want to borrow more than what you have. They say there are two things. You are either inside the debt or you're outside the debt. So when you borrow within your money, say maybe you borrow 300K. And I know some of you think like, why should I borrow 300K and yet have 500K? I'm going to explain to you. So if you borrow like 300K, then you have 500K, you are outside the debt. Or rather, you are inside the debt, meaning like the debt that you have, you can accommodate it by yourself. You don't have to press any alarm, you can accommodate it. But when you borrow a million bob from this 500K, that means you are outside the debt. The debt is actually within of your periphery. Now, say you have this amount of money, all right, you can self-guarantee yourself. And this is how you do it. You have 500K, you can borrow maybe say 450K. From that given SACCO. So when you borrow this 450,000 from that given SACCO, and maybe you're borrowing, maybe let's say in Kenya is around 12%, or let's say 13%, all right, per annum, the interest that you're supposed to pay. Therefore, it means that what they're giving you in terms of the dividends is way bigger than what they're asking from what? From the loan interest. Now, you have 500K, but instead of withdrawing your money to do the business, no, borrow against your money. Don't use your cash. Borrow against your money. So you borrow 450,000. I know you're asking why not 500. Obviously, you need to have a little bit of. They can't give you the entire amount of money as a loan because hey, they want to be left in a way whereby they have at least a negotiation fee of 50K. Okay, even if you are the SACCO, you couldn't give someone like the entire amount of money. So you borrow 450,000 from the 500 that you have. Now this 450,000, you go and invest it. I know somebody told me, hey, why would I borrow 450 and yet I have 500? Why don't I withdraw? This is the point. See, when you withdraw your money to go and invest, you're no longer entitled to shares, to dividends, of which is 15%. You're no longer entitled to that. But if you borrow this 450,000, you go and invest. Say you want to invest in a business, okay? You invest your cash in a business. Then you've left the 500 in a bank. So the 500 is being subjected to 15%. So 15% of 500, if you can do quick mathematics, how much is it? Let's say 10% of 500,000, that is like 50,000. So that would be like 65,000 around there. 65,000, let's say 65,000, 65K. That's what you get at the end of the year. This one, yes, you pay at the end of the month. Okay, at the end of the year rather. So therefore, so what is 13% of 450K? Therefore, it is definitely lower than this. So what happens is lower than this 65K. So what happens? You actually retain money that is making you 15% dividend, and you have this money and you have a business. Therefore, the business is generating income. And the income that you're generating from the investment that you have, because it's an investment that is generating cash flow, you check that cash flow and you pay back the loan that you took. So simply you pump back the money to your account, because guess what? Let's say, for example, something bad happens, you're not able to pay back all the amount of money. Let's deal with two case scenarios. The case scenario number one, you borrowed, you are unable to pay, you get off the boat. Maybe the interest was going for around let's say maybe for 50,000. It's the 50 that you left there, you're done. So no problem. You don't have to, they don't have to come to and auction you and all of and everything. Okay, that's option A. Option B, and obviously, during that period of time, let's say maybe you're in a position not to pay that loan, maybe let's say after 1 year or 2 years. Remember, this one is giving you 65. So there is an additional 65K here. So probably you're going to withdraw this amount of money because it's extra what they're asking you as an interest. So what happens on this amount of money is that you take this 450, you start a business, and then that business generates income. Then you keep on pumping money back because you want to pay this loan of 450. Maybe call it at 500 because of the interest and what have you. So you're still pumping back. And then let's say maybe you've pumped back like 300K. Let's say you've pumped back 300K and you didn't manage to actually pay back that amount of money. And maybe let's say you did this in a period of 2 years. So you did this in a period of 2 years. Remember, the year one, you are getting 65K because of the 500 that you have. And the year two, you have another one. You get what I'm saying? So what happens is that they're going to deduct what you have out there, and you're going to remain with the money that you have actually been pumping back yourself. It's like you're buying yourself. It's like you're buying the money from your own bank account, or you're buying your money from their own self account. So you've paid them back 300,000. So they only need 150,000. 150,000. This money has been earning you the interest, and that interest accumulation with this one, you've paid back their money, and you still have something to go, and your business is still in existence. So what happens is, don't take your money, borrow against yourself. You can self-guarantee yourself, because there is nothing big as a menace when people join these circles and they want to borrow money and they do not have people whom they can be able to guarantee them borrowing this cash amount of money out there. So go ahead and guarantee yourself. You have 500, borrow 450,000, go invest the 450,000, leave the 500 in your bank account or SACCO account. It is earning you the interest, and you're entitled to those interest. And again, you're pumping in more money. So you have earning money from two areas: from the business you're pumping in, and also from the dividends and that kind of a thing. And that way, you're gonna be in a situation whereby you're not punching above your weight. You're not borrowing, unless now this formula may not apply if you're looking to get, let's say, three times of this amount of money. Maybe you want 1.5 million. May not really be over applicable, but the point remains, hey, you can be able to bail yourself out of paying these interests. And most of the people do not understand these strategies. Some of the people, the other thing that you can be able to do, let's say you have like 2 million or 3 million, you want to borrow that money, or you want to sort of add something a little bit on top of that for you to be able, say, to have an investment somewhere. Instead of doing that, you can take that amount of money, buy treasury bonds. Once you buy those treasury bonds, then borrow against the treasury bonds. The treasury bonds are bringing in more money in terms of the dividends, in terms of the interest or coupon rate, not really dividends. And then from that, you pay back the interest. And then after the end of the period, you not only have your money back, but you still have an interest on top of that. You guys learn the art of using these numbers, because if you do not understand how the numbers goes, you're gonna be on the losing end. Guess what, guys? That marks the end of my video, but never forget, go ahead and pick that number of mine from the description of this specific video. Let's talk about business. Let's talk about investments. Perhaps maybe you floated all the way since I started explaining this point, but if you'd like me to take you through step by step and what you can be able to do it, come on, shoot me a call, get that number. Let's talk business. For now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.